The honourable member for Elgin Middlesex London.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. You know, I wish I could bring everybody great hope. I'm from the city of St. Thomas, where back in 2006, January 23rd, 2006, the day of the federal election, Ford Motor Company announced that would be reducing it down to one shift. October 14th, 2008, our next federal election, the Sterling Truck Plant announced that very day they were closing. So I come from a city and region that has felt these economic impacts so greatly. And that's what I really want to focus on is, you know, we do need hope here, but we also have to have some reality checks. So tonight is going to be a very difficult debate. I have seen so many families that have gone through this. As I've always mentioned at this House, I was the proud assistant of Joe Preston, the Member of Parliament, from 2004 to 2015. And that gave me the opportunity to work with so many families, so many individuals who had worked at the Ford Motor Company and who had worked at the Sterling Truck Plant. And these were very, very difficult times. You know, people are coming in saying, I've lost your job. They usually blame it on the government, which I understand, because at the end of the day, there is some sort of part where the government has to play. And that's why when we've talked about competitiveness, when we've talked about tariffs, all of those pieces are all part of the puzzle, and we can't forget that. But back in 2006, when it was announced, it was a very difficult day. We're talking about the Ford Motor Company that in 1967 came to the city of St. Thomas, and people were leaving high school and able to get fantastic paying jobs. There were students all summer long that were able to get jobs there and then pay for their college and university just based on their summer jobs, or people that were able to work Fridays and Saturdays for 12-hour shifts and once again pay for their university and college. There were so many opportunities, and all those opportunities disappeared when the Ford Motor Company disappeared. Same thing with the Sterling Truck Plant. We saw in 2008, they had announced that they were leaving. As I said, it was the federal election day. It seemed to always happen to Joe and I as we were working on these federal elections. You just didn't know what was going to happen. So in 2011 and 2015, when we escaped no terrible announcements, we were very, very pleased. But we have to recognize it's not just the 2,800 jobs that we're going to see here today and talk about at Oshawa, but it's all of those secondary and tertiary jobs that really do matter. So it's the number of 2,500 people that are unionized and 300 non-unionized staff. It's much greater than that. And that's why I want to speak about the challenges that we saw in the city of St. Thomas as well. The day that the city of St. Thomas had closed the Ford plant, not the city it closed, but it had closed in there, it was noted in the Financial Post. Making matters worse is that the number of Ford suppliers in the area, including Lear Seating, have also announced they will be closing their own doors as a result of the plant's demise. So what I did today is we still have about 1 in 4 jobs in the city of St. Thomas that are tied to the manufacturing, and many of those are still in the automotive parts. So in that year, we lost Lear. We lost a company named Schulman's. Now, Schulman doesn't deal with the fabrications per se, but they deal with the plastics that had to do with your steering wheels. We lost the people who were in the cafeteria, who prepared over 4,000 meals a day. Those are great jobs, and people knew that they could go to work and they were getting paid, but we lost those. And one other huge part of our industry that was really impacted was our auto system, the fact that transportation system. Otto Holloway, for many years, I remember going to many schools I remember going to school with many kids whose parents worked at Otto Holloway. It was a great paying job. My brother actually worked for the company himself, and back when the Ford Motor Company left, that job was gone as well. So we're not just talking about the cars once they're manufactured being shipped off. We're talking about the tires, we're talking about the engines, we're talking about all of the different parts of the cars that are brought in by freight, by the CN Rail or by CP or by the 401 or 400 road series. All of these jobs are lost as well. So today, as we're talking about Oshawa and talking about the 2,800 jobs, we do and have to recognize all of the spin-off effects and impacts and ripple effects that this is going to have on that community. It is really important for this government to step up. And that is what I'm hoping that during this emergency debate, that they will step up and work with the opposition parties that are across this way that asked for this emergency debate. We need to make sure it's not just about employment insurance. It's about what we can do next. Employment insurance is a Band-Aid approach for this. So although Service Canada will set up proper and little special areas that they will work with the workers, that has to be seen as a short-term fix. Employment insurance is only meant for a Band-Aid solution. It's meant to get you through the rough spots. So this is where I really encourage this government to get on a plan on how we either can keep this company here and keep them in Oshawa, keep people working today, or how in the future that they can make sure that these jobs come back. Now, I'm resorting back to St. Thomas in the County of Elgin because during the global economic downturn, we are lumped into with the City of London when it comes to our unemployment rates. And at that time, we were able to segregate that information. And in the County of Elgin, in the City of St. Thomas, we're at about a 15% unemployment rate. We had growing poverty, we had growing job losses, and people were losing their homes. And I had the opportunity to work with many of these people, a lot of crying parents, recognizing instead of giving Christmas presents that one year, our office went together and we were buying Christmas presents for families that we had actually met. And this is what the people of Oshawa are going to go through. Not this Christmas, but perhaps next Christmas. And it's really important that this government is listening to say, how can we do things better? And one of the things that I've always heard is our job as government is to set the field. It is to create the field and create all the opportunities for competitiveness. And this is why it's really important that, as our Conservative caucus is saying today, competitiveness has left the building kind of thing. It's really important that we recognize that the tariffs, this is having an impact on many of our companies. We can talk about the CPP. We can talk about all of the new costs that are going to businesses. And we are seeing this across the country. So I truly hope that this government recognizes that until they change the manner in which they're doing business, this may not just be the first and it may not just be the last. And we have to be on top of that. I think as we're going back to this, we need to talk also about the labour and talent. We recognize that there are great workers that have worked there. We have talked about some of the products that they have taken off the line, and I'm sure many of the people in this room tonight and many of the viewers watching at 5 to 10 on a Monday evening can remember the Crown Victoria. It's the cop car that you see across Canada. And for many, many years, the City of St. Thomas could sit there and say, that's my car, that's my car, that's my car. And that's what we continue to do. Every single time I see a Crown Vic, I know it came off the line of St. Thomas, Ontario. And I have that feeling that the people that work in Oshawa are feeling the exact same way. Many of the individuals take great pride in the work that they bring forward. And so today, with all of the families, all of those, as our member from Carleton mentioned, the children and the families that are being impacted in this, we have to remember them today. I'm going to go back to another conversation that I had, and many years ago we also did a lot of roundtables, and we always dealt with manufacturing. As I indicated, 1 in 4 jobs in the City of St. Thomas are with manufacturing. And one of the biggest things that one of our companies said, if I could move today, I would, but I can't. I'm here, I've got everything set up. Some of the biggest issues for him were the cost of hydro. Now, that is something that the province of Ontario is really working at, and I'm really proud of the work that they have done following this last administration's failures. But we also have to understand employment costs, and these are really big factors as well. It's really important that family, and I understand this is a balance, the balance between labor rights and family, but we also have to look at the work within the companies to make sure that they're productive. And we have to find that balance. And I don't know if this government is consulting enough to make sure that we're actually on the right path all the time. And those are some great concerns of mine. My final message is we do have to stay positive. This is a very, very difficult situation that many of our workers are going through. They are going to be left without a job. They're going to be left with mortgage payments and bill payments that don't cease just because you've lost your job. They just continue. And if they are like this government, they will have credit card bills to pay as well. And so there's many things that we need to think about. And so to everybody, we need to come up with a plan. I'm not saying I am the right person for the plan, but there are 338 members of Parliament that should care enough about Canada and care enough about our economy that together we can come up with a nonpartisan plan that will keep these people working in Oshawa and that will keep this country the great country it is. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.